What is the difference between Java Spring Boot and Spring MVC? If you have ever wondered about the distinctions between Java Spring Boot and Spring Model View Controller, you are in the right place. Let's break down these two frameworks and see how they differ in the context of backend development. First off, Spring Model View Controller is a web framework that follows the Model View Controller design pattern. This means it separates the application into three key components. The model handles data, the view is the user interface, and the controller manages business logic. With Spring Model View Controller, developers need to manually configure many parts of the application, which can take time and requires a solid understanding of the Spring framework. On the other hand, Spring Boot is built on top of the Spring platform. Its main goal is to simplify the process of creating production-ready Spring applications. Spring Boot comes with opinionated defaults and auto-configuration, which means developers can focus more on writing business logic instead of dealing with repetitive setup tasks. When it comes to configuration and setup, Spring Model View Controller requires a lot of manual work. Developers must configure dependencies, server setups, and application contexts. This can be quite tedious. In contrast, Spring Boot automates much of this process. It uses auto-configuration and starter dependencies to reduce the need for extensive configuration, making development faster and less error-prone. Now, let's talk about server deployment. Applications built with Spring Model View Controller usually need to be deployed on an external web server like Apache Tomcat or Jetty. This means you have to install and configure these servers separately. Spring Boot, however, includes embedded servers, allowing applications to run independently as standalone Java applications. This feature makes it much easier to get applications up and running. In terms of development speed and productivity, Spring Model View Controller can slow things down due to the need for explicit configuration. Spring Boot speeds up development significantly by handling dependencies and configuration automatically, which leads to quicker startup times. As for use cases, Spring Model View Controller is great for developers who need detailed control over configuration and application setup. This is particularly useful for complex or highly customized web applications. Spring Boot, on the other hand, is perfect for quickly building APIs, microservices, and web applications that are ready for production with minimal setup. It is also important to note that Spring Boot does not replace Spring Model View Controller. Instead, it includes Spring Model View Controller as part of its web development stack. When you create a Spring Boot web application, you are often using Spring Model View Controller in the background, but with a much simpler configuration process. In summary, Spring Model View Controller is a foundational web framework that requires manual setup and focuses on the Model View Controller pattern. Spring Boot is a higher-level framework that streamlines the development process by providing auto-configuration and embedded servers. This makes backend development more accessible and straightforward for developers working with APIs, databases, and server-side logic.